Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back finally to talk more Doctor Who Season 8. We are on episode 10. It is called In the Forest of the Night. So full spoilers if you have not seen this episode. And despite, I want to call kind of like shenanigans on an episode like this, where it's just like, okay, this is a pretty good episode. I also think that this episode is the best use of the class, Jenna Coleman's school kids, Clara's kids, that they've done on the show. I have not been very happy with when they bring in the students, but this was pretty good. I thought it was a little, at first, but they turned it around on me, especially with the girl who played Maeve. I thought she was particularly really good. And this episode it also reminded me of an X-File from season 1 called Darkness Falls, but we'll get to that when we get to what made me think of that. So the Doctor gets found by a little girl in the forest running from something, and she finds the TARDIS, and she's been looking for him. So you automatically assume that it was Clara that sent her, and he can't figure out why they're not where they're supposed to be, and it's because overnight a forest grew all over the world, covering the entirety of the globe, basically. And now, of course, as one would, the whole world's freaking out. And kind of taking it very, we only see, London, but we don't see any kind of chaos or anything like that. It's like, you know what I mean? I would have expected to see, streets of people, just stumbling through the woods. You kind of have to use your imagination on that part. But the kids were out with Pink and Clara for a school trip, and overnight, they're stuck out there too. Can't figure out how to get home. Eventually, they find their way to the TARDIS as well. And now that we've got this going, I'm going to put on the show. All right, so everybody's trying to figure out what this is. The Doctor can't figure out what this is. And it's also a nice episode where Clara and Mr. Pink are she's still lying to him about hanging out with the Doctor. And so I like that gets resolved too, but we'll get to that, I guess. And through most of this, it's just them kind of keeping together, trying to figure out how to get these kids home, that kind of deal. And they can't really figure this out, except the one girl says she hears voices and she seems to be seeing things. And it turns out, and this is going to be a quick video, by the way, because it is pretty straightforward, that she drew some pictures of the sun hitting Earth. And so the Doctor figures it out that there's going to be a solar flare that comes and hits the Earth, and basically everybody's going to be dead. Unless they can figure out what's causing this. And even then, the solar flare is not going to stop. They think it's an invasion. They question all this other stuff. One of the cool things, when they were talking about the trees, right? And that they had the rings around the trees, and in that one ring there was this crazy redness. And that made me think of Darkness Falls from season 1 of the X-Files, where loggers were cutting down trees that they weren't supposed to cut down, basically living fossils. And in that tree there was this crazy ring all of a sudden. This one was green and not red. And they said that, it's because of some sort of event that took place that created this ring around that tree. And inside that ring of trees, in that tree, was eggs from a dormant, extinct insect that gets out and attacks people. and it basically talks about a cataclysmic event that happened on Earth. And that's not the second time. That's like only the first time that they bring that up on the X Files, like this cosmic event that hit the Earth and like caused a lot of damage, but not destruction. And so immediately I was like, oh, it's gonna be bugs. And while the adventure is fine and them going through the woods trying to find the girl who gets lost, she's a special needs kind of case because, well, they're telling him that she's hearing voices. She gets chased by wolves, and then they get chased by a tiger. Well, there's a tiger there. The tiger's there. Whatever. Mr. Pink uses the flashlight to scare it away, and that's all that a lot of this episode really is walking, talking, and a lot about nature and the forest and how could this happen and why would this happen. And I was expecting this episode to maybe get a little preachy about global warming and deforestation, but it's not. It's not. It's subtly telling us, with the fact that the solar flare is going to kill all of us, I guess maybe not so subtle, but they're not. I don't feel like this episode was hitting us over the head with stuff that normal, intelligent people understand. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to use this as like an educational episode, fine. I did think that that's what this was going to turn out to be, is some sort of the forest is going to kill us. But the answer to that is actually even more interesting, is that, and I said it before he did, and I'm proud of myself because this is another thing about the X-Files. Where he's talking about an atomic bomb, like 1,000 atomic bombs, but the Earth is still here, like no one's dead. And when he put it together, what does that? What caused that? I went Tunguska in Russia. It popped into my head like it was always there waiting to come out. That in 1908 in Tunguska, Russia, an asteroid hit and literally boom, just took out all the trees basically. That I think a couple of people died that were living close by, but it should have destroyed it. Like, the doctor's right. This should have been like a cataclysmic event, but instead it only took out the trees. And I just found that really interesting way to get out of this episode. Really. I mean, I'm sure that there was more to this, meaning to this episode than that. But then it became down to before they figured this out, Clara, it was just going to stay there with all of the Earth. They had given up. They had completely given up, and that the Earth was going to die, and everyone on Earth is going to die. The doctor, she kind of fools the doctor into going back to the TARDIS and says she's going to stay there with everybody else. She doesn't want to be the last of her kind. Kind of sad to say, didn't want to say it in front of him because he's the last of his kind. But I do like his response. Is like, hey man, I've been living here and breathing here and doing this, and I feel like one of you. Why, what makes me so special? And that's why she puts him in there and sends him off. Now, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not dying if I can get on the TARDIS. All right, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care who's behind. who I'm leaving behind. I'll be like, come with me or not, but I'm going, okay? I don't care. I'll find a new life on some frickin' planet. But that, I like that she pushes him, away, and then the whole thing with Danny then afterwards, because he calls her out early on how quickly she jumped back into the old feeling, almost like, you never left him. And then we get that called back in between, him telling them what all is happening. I do like that it's scaring the hell out of the kids. I thought that was pretty funny. But what he says is that the trees create basically a shield around the planet, and that when the solar flare hits, it only will take out, it'll have all that oxygen burn up the flames of a solar flare. Now, that's where I get into a little bit of shenanigans, just science shenanigans. I don't know if that's true, that a solar flare could hit us and the trees could save us all. I feel like that's very... it's something that Spielberg would do or something. I don't know, but it feels like no. I don't know if that would work. I mean, maybe if I don't know if that would work ever. I, but it's a nice idea. I kind of just went, turned that off for a minute and accepted it. Because I like all the sentiment leading up to it. You know, saying goodbye and leaving and him figuring it out and going back and really bringing people in. Like, come on, come on, come on. Like, you know, seeing him be more of a heroic figure in this episode rather than, you know, kind of the gray area until he has to do the right thing kind of thing. I shouldn't say like he does that all the time or something, but that, you know, everybody lives. He takes, you know, Clara up into the TARDIS, up into the stratosphere. Apparently you can just stand in space and not get sucked out. I don't know. I'm thinking too much about it. But if they're up that high, shouldn't, you know, you open up the TARDIS, shouldn't it be like, you just get sucked out? I'm sure that there are rules to that, and that question has probably been answered in an episode that I've never seen. But they show the sun flare hit the Earth, and everybody's fine. And this has just a really nice ending, and then Pink confronts her, saying, I know, you know, like, I figured it out. Like, look at all this evidence and everything. And he knows that they're still working together. And I thought almost like they were going to break up this episode. Because he seems like he's about, like, had it. He's very nice about it. Samuel Anderson as Danny Pink is great at, you know, hiding it. But I don't know, man. I really thought he was going to break up with her right then. Kind of would have made it a real twist at the end of all this. But then we also see at the very end Missy is back, and then she says that was a surprise when she's watching the solar flare. I like surprises, so I don't know if she set this in motion or if, you know, again, she feels like a puppet master a little bit, and she's gonna be playing a big role in next week's or in the next episode. I guess it's probably a 2-part finale, so I don't know if I'll do both parts at the same time, but I'll probably do them separately. And, yeah. But all in all, man, a pretty good episode. I had a lot of fun with it. I really liked Peter Capaldi in this. I feel like each episode and each story gives them a different chance to play the character a different way. And, like I said, I'm really digging it so far, and I'm looking forward to finishing. So, anyway, if you liked this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Otherwise, this is Rabbit Smirking Gonorrheas saying, sorry it takes me so long to get to some of these videos, but they're still coming. So have a great night, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.